invite none of you here. We're the only Native Americans here. That's right. We're the only Native Americans here. You're all illegal. We didn't invite none of you. We didn't invite none of you.
Exactly.
Get on with your bogus arguments. Get on with your bogus arguments. We're the only legal ones here.
We have Native Americans here.
Yeah. We should have put that sign up when you son of a bitches came. Yeah, that's right. It represents blood. That represents blood spilled by Native Americans protecting this land from the invaders. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You don't want to hear the goddamn truth, do you? Get on, bitch. You don't want to hear the truth. That's what that flag stands for. All the Native Americans you killed to plant your houses here. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. Today is Friday, February 8th, 2013. I'm Darko. Alright, I'm going to continue here with this article. Border Patrol arrests in Arizona lowest in nearly 2 decades. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials say the last year Border Patrol apprehended fewer people than last year was almost 2 decades ago. It was the lowest number in 19 years. It goes on here and it says fewer people are trying to cross the border. Anti-American sentiments are running at an all-time high in Pakistan. According to figures compiled by a London-based independent organization, the U.S. has carried out more than 363 assassination drone attacks in Pakistan's tribal areas since 2004, killing close to 3,500 people. Now remember this article from the 5th we covered. Majority of Americans say federal government threatens freedom. For years, conservative pollsters have said that Americans are furious at the government. Rasmussen noted in 2010 that only a small minority of American people think that the government has consent of the governed and that the sentiment was pre-revolutionary. Gallup noted in 2011 that a higher percentage of Americans likened King George during the colonial days than currently like Congress. And last year, Gallup noted that trust was plummeting in virtually all institutions. According to a Wall Street Journal poll in 2011, 76% of Americans believe the country's financial and political structures favor the rich over the rest of the country. And Washington Post reported in 2011 that Congress was less popular than communism, BP during the Gulf oil spill, or Nixon during Watergate. An interesting little side note with Nixon during the Watergate, I didn't know this, but apparently they, like with all these diversions like Benghazi Gate and all that, you never really actually see the truth, which should be pretty obvious to people who see reality as it is. That Nixon during Watergate, it had to do with infiltrating protesters, and instead of covering that, they covered about spying and wiretapping opposition and that. U.S. Air Force veteran added to no-fly list after visiting sickly mom. So a 10-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force is once again unable to return to his home after being mysteriously added to a federal no-fly list for a second time. A Muslim American born in the state of Oklahoma is stranded near his hometown despite having purchased a plane ticket to return to Qatar, a small Arab nation where he teaches English and lives with his wife and children. Which is interesting because it's a small nation. Most of these hired terrorists, or terrorists for hire, they're calling Islamists and Al-Qaeda, a pretty general term, is being funded by this very small, very rich country. Most of the jihadists don't come from there. They actually come from other places like Algeria and Libya, Afghanistan, and other places. But like TSA and all them, they don't know what the hell is going on. They just think brown people. They think all Muslims are terrorists. And so here we go. Cops nab 5-year-old for wearing wrong color shoes to school. So they keep saying have these disciplinary tactics got out of control. Well, I think they were out of control a long time ago. And again, just try not to send your children there if you can avoid having your children kidnapped by the state, by CPS. In Mississippi, if kindergartens violate the dress code or act out in class, they may end up in the back of a police car. So this is a growing trend, is arresting students, raiding their lockers, doing drug raids, and just all kinds of stuff. Like I've covered a couple of years ago about writing on the desk. She had the cops come and handcuff her and stuff like that. So this is just to get the future dead slaves, ready to deal with the parents, right? The parents, the authorities, the police. It's funny too because I saw I heard some kind of advertisement for Blue Blood. I guess it's a new cop show. because, you know, it's there's not enough cop shows out there already. We need more. It just really makes my skin, you know, like the hair stand up on the back of my neck when I see more of those commercials all the freaking time for stupid ass cop shows. I mean, dude, why don't people tune out to this? They don't. They like it. And even shows like Revolution, they're just complete disinfo, psychological operations. They're imprinting on them. How they want them to think, how they want them to react, like those people waving the flags in the beginning, you know, the Americans and stuff like that, the American flag. They're being used as, you know, your tool bag. And the thing is like, as a death slave, they're teaching the young people, but it's like with these cop shows like Blue Blood now, you know, what do Americans have, why would Americans have any interest in watching political law enforcement enforcing a tax code and stuff like that, and political code and laws and stuff like that? All the ridiculous stories of what they're doing, tasing old women and you know what I mean, and shutting down lemonade stands. I mean, how could anybody have any respect for these people at all anymore? I don't know. But they're not just respected, they're glorified. Bangladeshi admits trying to blow up federal bank. So a man from Bangladesh who tried to blow up the Federal Reserve Bank of New York remotely, only to find that the bomb was fake, and his plot had been, under the constant surveillance of federal agents. So in other words, the feds actually helped create this threat against the Federal Reserve, right? Guilty on terrorism charges. You know, he ain't never going to see the blue sky and the sun covered with aerosols and chemtrails ever again. China sentences man to 13 years, says he's incited Tibetan monk to set himself on fire. So again, like this other guy that didn't actually do anything, a Chinese court on Friday sentenced a man to 13 years in prison for inciting an ethnic Tibetan monk to set himself on fire. The latest punishment meted out in a crackdown as Chinese authorities try to stop a string of self-immolation protests that has reached almost 100 incidents. Cop killer on the run, largest manhunt in LAPD history, spreads to 3 U.S. states and Mexico. So the big cop killer and the manhunt is on in a California ski resort where the suspect's demolished pickup truck was found on the mountain, which tracks in the snow leading away from it. So he's heading for the mountains. Hunt for ex-cop goes on amid California snowstorm. Okay, amid California snowstorm. That's funny because the record's still in Moscow, big blizzard hidden northeast, and global warming is just going to kill us all. So, but here come the good guys. Here come the good guys to the rescue. Every picture with shooters and ad. You got your local cops. You got your state troopers. Look like the freaking Marine Corps. Look at them go, man. They're our heroes. We should make a cop show after this. Oh, wait a minute. We already do. And don't worry, as city governments and states, you know, may not be able to pay out pensions and talking about austerity and budget cuts and sequestering and all this crap, don't worry, these guys are getting all the money to keep you secure. LAPD shot female paper carrier, 71 in Manhunt. So, you know, remember the first story, they actually shot 2 innocent bystanders in 2 separate incidents that were related to the same manhunt. But it goes on here and it says that police spotted in their early hours this truck that bore resemblance to the one driving by Dorner, this cop. It says here that Emma Hernandez, 71, is in stable condition after being shot in the back twice. So her daughter, 47, needed stitches to the finger. The problem with the situation is it looked like the police had the goal of administering street justice, and in so doing didn't take the time to notice that these 2 older, small Latina women don't look like a large black man, says their attorney. So about a half hour after the shooting, officers shot at another truck that looked like Dorner's, but that too was a mistake. So these assholes are just, pardon my French, but they're assholes. They're just going around shooting anything in the way. They don't give a shit about serving and protecting and all that stuff. And they go in here, for time's sake, I'm going to keep moving, Christopher Dorner, his little manifesto. So you can go in there and check it out. But pretty interesting stuff, what the guy's actually trying to say, which is that... here it is right here, what he's trying to say about some stuff that he saw, that he tried to speak up about the actions of the LAPD and stuff like that, how it hasn't changed, it's gotten worse. All those people that were involved in Rodney King have actually become supervisors, commanders, and got promoted. So, and he's just trying to clear his name. So he's got he's got a little bit of a story and a long information here. You can go in there and check it out. Links should be posted. He's not just a cop killer. He's calling them out for their actions. EU and US plan world's biggest trade bloc. So the 2 largest economy powers Our economic powers would like to join forces via a free trade agreement. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Yet the hurdles are high. That's your sovereignty. EU and US are aiming not just for a small trade solution, but for the largest proposal of all, right? Because that has political and social ramifications, and that's how they squeeze the sovereignty out of you, through trade agreements. And free trade, not fair trade, free trade. It's not really trade because it's about governments conducting trade. So it's not trade anymore, it's commerce. It's totally regulated trade. So it can't be free. It would also ensure that the global economic rules of the future that are set up by in closed doors by unelected people are put in place by Western countries and not China. Talking about desperation with that cop and stuff like that, with the self-immolations. European Union leaders agreed to slash 2014 to 2020 budget. So it goes on here and says the deal sets a ceiling of 1.3 trillion for the EU budget. So how much they can use in the usury system. Greeks fight for food. I never imagined that I would end up here. Says once a bastion of European success and center of tourism, Greece has become the harbinger of things to come in the rest of the world's developed nations. Not long ago, Greeks were enjoying high-paid salaries, early retirement, excess cash, and never-ending economic growth. But just a short time after the financial like I said, I'll just say wealth consolidation operation that rocked global financial markets, the Europe's darling has turned into a frightening example of what happens when governments and their people take on more debt than they can ever hope to repay. So the end result is hundreds of people jostled for free vegetables handed out by farmers and a symbolic protest earlier on Wednesday, trampling one man and prompting an outcry over the growing desperation created by the economic crisis. Images of people struggling to seize bags of tomatoes and leaks thrown from a truck-dominated television, triggering soul-searching over the new depths of poverty in the debt-laden country. These images make me angry for a proud people who have no food to eat, who can't afford to keep warm, and who cannot make ends meet, said a lawmaker from the leftist Syriza party. Other lawmakers decried images of people on the brink of despair and the sense of sadness for a proud people who have ended up like this. So yeah, I remember seeing this picture right here, popular galleries for this article, and it's photo of the day. Yes, free lunch. That's a big joke, right? People dumpster diving. Look, she has some pretty decent clothes, so, or he, whoever it is, can't tell these days. In Spain, they actually are putting locks on the garbage cans. French workers threatened to blow up their factory Tuesday morning. 168 remaining employees of DMI in Vaux, a small town in the department of Allier, says here in France, smack dab in the middle the country, rigged about 10 gas cylinders throughout the factory they'd been occupying and threatened to blow it up unless their demands were met. Another day in the decline of the private sector of France. So, says we are once again facing an unbearable human and economic tragedy over the loss of manufacturing jobs in our region. So, remember this, Italian activist self-immolates to protest illegal loans, talking about what? Doing it for the victims of usury, the usury system. You know who benefits from that. To weather services chagrin, Nemo catching on. So Nemo, remember before it was Draco, naming winter storms now, right? Remember? So that's the Weather Channel, which sounds really official, right? Like the Federal Reserve. Then you have the National Weather Service. Today reiterated that it does not support naming winter storms. Their impact can vary from one location to another. It's difficult to define where one ends and another begins. In other words, they can't predict it, right? So they said everyone except the Weather Channel is trying to avoid panic. But like the last big storm, it empties the shelves, just like the gun control or gun ban panic, where people go out and buy a bunch of guns. 3,800 flights canceled as blizzard approaches east coast of U.S., so they're canceling flights. Massachusetts declares state of emergency, bans travel after 4 p.m. That's right, statewide travel ban. Declared a state of emergency and banned travel on the roads as of 4 p.m. So what does this sound like? It sounds like Superstorm or Frankenstorm, genetically modified storm, Sandy, right? They did the same thing, lockdown. I heard Bloomberg's quote again today. I thought it was like something from Sandy, like an old, like they fell asleep at the broadcasting booth, because it sounded exactly the same, saying, don't you leave your house, don't get in your cars, don't do this. And the only thing I can think in my car is shut the fuck up, stop telling people what to do, and stop spraying the skies and creating these crappy-ass Frankenstorms, genetically modified storms. This is GGN. Thank you.